Welcome to another edition of Turf Talk, Breeders' Cup Countdown Edition. Vance, we're inside 3 weeks. A lot of news going to be happening over this next 3 weeks as we learn about the fields. Bristnet.com is going to have preliminary past performances for contenders starting Tuesday of this week, so check that out. We have a new feature on the TwinSpires channel, Zoe Cadman doing some spotlights on some of the bigger names in the Breeders' Cup, so we're excited about that. Check that out. My question for you this week, now that we are inside 3 weeks, a lot of the fields being known, etc., what's your process as a handicapper, as someone who follows this daily? You're already familiar, but at the same time it is crunch time. What do you do next to get ready?
I just kind of review the races that have been run over the spring and summer, kind of form an opinion on the horses once again, how they're approaching the Breeders' Cup races. Just kind of see what kind of current form they're in right now at the moment and emphasize that more than what they may have done earlier in the year. I think you need the current form going into these kind of races, and that's what I like to see. And also look at speed figures and, like everybody else, kind of judge who can run faster than whom, and that's kind of what I kind of look at in the weeks leading up.
Sure, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think it's important to know what a horse is capable of, certainly what their ceiling is, but at the same time, you definitely want to know that they're in form. I mean, these are races people point to all year. They're worth a lot of money, a lot of prestige, and it's bitten me before. I mean, one reason going back to 06, I didn't like Invasor was the layoff. I just thought others would be on their toes, so to speak, and more capable of a top performance. He proved me wrong, and that certainly could happen again, and we are seeing longer layoffs going into Breeders' Cup races, but at the same time, you really want to know that all these horses are hitting their marks, and in the case of Invasor and maybe an American Pharoah Keen Ice, that means they're training up to the race. In the case of a horse like Tonalist, you want to see that race in the Gold Cup, whereas Honor Code, I mean, I know it was the slop, I know it was a prep. For me, that's going to be hard to forgive as the third or fourth choice.
Yeah, also in this weeks leading up to it, it's a good opportunity to start thinking about horses you want to try and beat that you know are going to be short prices. There's certainly going to be people out there that will not like the price and honor code like you, or possibly even American Pharoah coming off a long layoff like that. But there's potential horses bet against in almost every Breeders' Cup race. There's probably obviously a few exceptions here and there, but certainly you want to hone in on horses that you kind of don't like coming into the Breeders' Cup based on their recent form. Declining speed ratings is a good indicator sometimes, and then try and find out 2 or 3 horses that could possibly upset these horses. That's the kind of procedure I like to do going in.
Yeah, I like it. No, and I mean, for me, I apply this to the Derby as well. I don't want to hear about mistraining, even if it's just a day. And going into races like this, it really matters. It's not just your run-of-the-mill grade ones. I mean, this is, to me, the next step up. So those are all things I'm going to be watching. You especially have been watching the TwinSpires Sprint, and unfortunately, some bad news over the weekend. Earlier in the week, we lost champion and defending winner Work All Week to retirement, and then we lost Rockfall to even worse circumstances. Still going to be a great race, but nevertheless disappointing for that news to come out Saturday morning.
Absolutely. It cast a pall over the entire weekend, really. It was kind of a slow weekend stakes-wise, but Rockfall's premature death obviously rocked the racing industry. It was very unfortunate. He had a great potential as a stallion next year at WinStar. He was coming into the TwinSpires Sprint on a 7-race win streak, and it kind of took me back to just a couple of years ago when Points Off the Bench scored or had a fatal injury in a workout at Santa Anita before running in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He was posthumously awarded champion sprinter honors, and there's a possibility Rockfall could have that happen to him as well if there's a upset victory in the Breeders' Cup where relatively unqualified horse wins the race, but he's not really qualified to be the champion male sprinter of the year. Rockfall could be still honored in January.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say Private Zone or Run Happy are the two that are clearly running for a clinch, and then we have the Cigar Mile after that. But lots to watch in that regard, but a disappointing development. And as you said, it did, even with Stone Street winning a race on Saturday, and it was an exciting QE2, you just hate to see that. And it's It's tough.
Yeah, it is, and you don't want any of your stars going out that way. And condolences to the Stone Street Connections and trainer Todd Pletcher. They lost a really good animal in Rockfall.
Yeah, no question. Well, hopefully that's the last conversation we have to have about a topic like that. But he was going to be one of the favorites. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. But we are looking forward to better conversation. Hopefully some good prices along the way. Next week we'll be ahead of the pre-entries coming out. We'll already have, as I said, the Brisnet PP contenders will be out this week. So we'll have our first look through that. Week after that, we'll know the field, so it's coming up quick.
It is coming up quick. These are going to be the 3 quickest weeks, I think, we'll experience here in Lexington. But it's very exciting, and the Indian summer continues here in Lexington. The weather's working out perfectly so far. Let's see. Hope it continues through the last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we got out of the way with opening weekend, which is a big weekend, but if it had to come, better then than at the end. So we'll see. We'll be watching the weather. We'll be watching that website for the PPs. And hopefully you'll be watching us next week on Turf Talk.